Set. USA, USA, U. This is our Android Week with Alan Firstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner somewhere in Florida, don't tell his wife, New Carico in Kingsport, Tennessee, actually he's napping, I think, Michael Banks in Augusta, Georgia, and allegedly in Portland, Oregon, Mr. Nate Swanner. This is our Android Week. Welcome, everyone, to our little Android program. We're very excited to have you with us and our panel, part of our panel. And our first topic tonight is the much anticipated Nexus 5 phone, which is going to have allegedly a 5-inch screen or close to it. So a manual has apparently leaked, and it's on Scribd, and we link below the player. You can see the links for that stuff on Google Plus, and not on YouTube yet, but it will be. But anyway, what do you guys think about? Is this an impressive phone? Are you stoked? Because I guess let's go to Alan and then Nate, because you both have Nexus 4s.
I don't have a Nexus 4.
You don't? I thought you did. What do you have?
No, I still have my Galaxy Nexus. My parents have a Nexus 4, and
I thought you got one at I/O.
No, they didn't give out Nexus 4s at I/O. They gave away Pixels at I/O this year.
Oh, well, you've thrown me off game.
I can tell you're just totally shocked by this. No, I don't have a Nexus 4. I mean, Nexus 4 was a fine phone. It was a decent phone. The Galaxy Nexus is a fine phone. It's a decent phone. This looks like a fine phone. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It's a phone. Nate, what do you think?
Nate has a Nexus 4.
I do have a Nexus 4. I love my Nexus 4. The funny thing, when I saw this kind of thing leak out, I looked to see, I had not seen a Nexus 4 service manual before, so I went and checked it out, and it's aesthetically it's the same kind of thing. The interesting thing to me is it's obviously, I said this before to you guys, I think, right around 5.25 inch screen size, I think is perfect. This got a Snapdragon 800, so it's it's about as top of the line as you can get in that respect. 8-megapixel camera with an optical image stabilization. Okay, we'll see what they do there. The battery's a little bit disappointing. I think what's going to be interesting to me is, do all the phones? I'm looking at this post by Droid Life where they compared the two, and according to what they've kind of cobbled together, that the Nexus 5, each Nexus 5 will have LTE and CDMA and HSPA. Which means you can use it on AT&T, T-Mobile, or Sprint, maybe Verizon if Verizon doesn't play their usual games of like they have been with Jeff Jarvis and his Nexus 7. But what's really interesting to me is this is all a very integral upgrade. I mean, it's very slight. It's not a massive departure. So it'll be interesting for me to see how people react to this, because in a lot of ways I'm kind of likening this to an iPhone, in that it's a very incremental upgrade, and Android fans love to bash the iPhone for not really doing anything innovative. But when you look at it in regard to Nexus 4 versus Nexus 5, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, no, I'll agree. I mean, maybe they're going to surprise us with something that's actually, big, innovative, useful, interesting, but, the rumors certainly aren't saying it.
Right, and I hope you can agree with me, Alan, that what this also kind of says to me is that this whole thing with the hardware spec race, and everybody's got to be bigger and better and badder, that's kind of coming to an end. That's starting to plateau a little bit. I'm not so much I'm going to get the Nexus 5, let's just say that right now, but I'm not really as interested in the hardware as I am to see what they do with Android 4.4 and how they can improve on a phone that's got some great specs, some middle-of-the-road specs, like an 8-megapixel camera. What can Android 4.4 do with those specs, and how can it capitalize?
Yeah, I think that's really going to be the real question. Is the phone is a phone. It's nothing. It's uninteresting. The real question is going to be, okay, what's the big deal with KitKat at this point? Bruce, what are your thoughts on this?
I hang out with a lot of guys. I'm in Google Hangouts most of the day. Some of the tech and coffee crew, and then some other guys from Internet Broadcaster. The IAIB, I think it's called, and I hear a lot of people talking about phones and what their next phone is going to be, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about their interest in the Nexus 5. Had some that actually some that have already purchased the Note 3 last Friday and have been a part of a couple unboxings and those types of things. But there's a lot of people interested in the Nexus 5, and I think to Nate's point, with the Moto X and the lower specs, but some new features and everything, I think that began to really break the mold of, you got to have absolutely the highest hardware specs in order to be a successful phone. So it'll be interesting to see.
Now, Bruce, you and I both have a Note 2, and we love that larger screen size. I got to tell you, if I could get, I'm interested in this Nexus 5. If I could get service locally, I'm not sure I can or can't, that would interest me to get the not that TouchWiz it sucks compared to pure Android, but I like both, but I do like pure Android, and I like the frequent updates you get. We're still on Note 2. What are we on, like 4.1 something?
4.1.2, yeah.
Yeah, so if we had a Nexus 5, it's only an inch less, not even that. What is a Nexus Note 2? It's like 5 point something, right?
5.5, I believe.
Okay. So 5.5, so it's very close, and it's just like a little miniature Nexus 7. I'm very interested in this phone.
One of the persons I know that got the Note 3 actually bought it out of contract. They bought it in Canada, so it was like $900. But yeah, I hear more people talking about the Nexus 5 as their potential next phone than I hear any other phone spoken of.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Okay, so we all agree it's just going to be awesome. All right, next up is Samsung set to unveil I guess I didn't link to the other story, but I guess LG put out a press release. I don't know if it's vaporware or what, but they said they're going to come out with the first. They're getting ready to start mass manufacturing the first flexible display for a phone, and then Samsung is set to unveil the Galaxy Round, a flexible display phone. And one thing that's key to them, I was like, what the hell is the point? But apparently, I guess the thing is, when you're talking to somebody, you cut them off with your cheek. You'll hit the button or whatever, or you'll hit the button if you're using Google Voice. It'll start recording the call, and it says this call is now being recorded, and the other person freaks out. And you're like, I don't know how to stop it. So it's not really your phone will be flexible. The shell will still be hard, but I guess correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, Alan, Bruce. It's going to allow you to have a curved, more contoured phone. That's the point of this, right? Or
I'll be honest with you, I don't really understand what they think the point is yet. In terms of a curved phone, that was the Galaxy Nexus, and that didn't really have flexible glass. So I'm not really sure what they're getting at there. I think this is obviously a very beta product, but what do you think, Alan? I'm not really sure what they're getting at here.
My initial take is, okay, this is Samsung throwing more spaghetti against the wall because they've got no clue what they're doing about just about anything. But that's generally my opinion about Samsung these days in general. Certainly, I think a shaped phone makes some sense because I've always kind of loathed the flat. Let's face it, this is an absolutely horrible form factor for a phone. It's abysmal. It's terrible. The fact that it requires a location sensor to detect whether it's close to your face or not is just ample example of how this is a totally misdesigned system.
As far back as the original Star Trek, Alan, they had a contour, but it was a flip.
It was a flip. There's a difference.
The feature phones, it really was a step backward when they went to the smartphones as far as contour.
Let's be honest here. This is not a phone. This is a small tablet that happens to have a microphone and a speaker in it. Okay? Let's be perfectly blunt here. This is a really crappy phone. Most people don't use their phones as phones anymore. Mostly for that reason. A flip phone is actually a great design when it comes to phones. You've got a very clear off hook, a very clear on hook. Not that anybody knows what off hook and on hook mean anymore. I see Bruce laughing at me there because he knows where I'm coming from on this. There were very clear semantics, very clear understanding, a very, very good design. And we had to get away from that because we actually want tablets, not phones. I'm hoping that this might mean that we get back to phones. But let's be honest, a nice curved piece of screen that may fit nice against your face, but you can't poke at it easily enough. And that's what people do with a tablet. So, yeah, I've got no idea what's going on with this. This is just Samsung being
Would it be
Samsung.
weird to look at a video or something if it was curved, or is that? I've never seen a curved television. So, I mean, I've seen the old tube were outwardly curved. So, because of the cathode ray tube.
If they do it right, no, it won't be weird because they'll adjust the perspective correctly, which can be done fairly easily. They've been doing that for decades.
It depends on how flexible it is, too, because you could be exposing it to more damage depending when it drops and hits on the edge, with that curve there, taking the brunt of the hit, let's suppose. So.
Oh, yeah, excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's also a lot of, I've written about it here and there, but there's a lot of technology that can get kind of incorporated with a flexible display. And, let's also point out that what we're talking about here today is, we're not even sure if we're talking about curved or flexible or what that really is. Flexible display kind of, to me says it's a passive polymer kind of material that, has improved haptic feedback or things like that. But that gets back to Alan's point of we're really just carrying around smaller tablets, and what really matters is the, kind of touch interaction we have. So I'm not really exactly sure what the aim is here. I mean, Kyocera's got some interesting technology with without using microphones. They use kind of a ceramic thing in the phone which transmits sound waves, and you can kind of hear a phone through like a desk. It's really interesting stuff, but I don't really understand the aim here, and that's where I get confused. I don't really understand what they're getting at.
I'm thinking about the slat band. Remember the slat band where you took this thing, kids would have it, and you'd hit it against your wrist, and it would wrap around, Yeah. So I'm thinking some kind of flexible phone, that when you're holding it out, and when you're ready to go, you just hit it on your wrist, and it kind of wraps around.
Yeah, and I mean, it's got some utility with, like for instance, you were talking about dropping it. If you had that in, like, let's say, like a Motorola, and they do that kind of Kevlar shell.
Right.
If you had a phone where the screen was flexible and the Kevlar is obviously bulletproof and flexy, it's going to absorb a lot of the shock. But then does the touchscreen perform the same? I mean, we're kind of touchscreen junkies at this point. If it's not, doesn't have 10-finger touch capacity, and we can't move a billion things around the screen at once, we get frustrated.
I think it's. I think Alan who used the phrase "throwing spaghetti against the wall." These phones are more similar than they're different now. Even iOS and Android are much more similar than they were, 3 years ago. So
no, Alan makes an excellent point. They're all just kind of tiny monoliths that we, worship at. It's like 2001: Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's iOS 7.
I love that imagery,
gold.
Nate. That's great. I want that video.
Okay, so next up is Android tablet sales surpass Apple's iPad for the first time ever in Q2 of 2013. Frankly, I'm surprised it's taken this long. I mean, when Big Lots has a $99 tablet for sale, everybody has a tablet for sale. I mean, they're all over the place. And so they're flooding the market with these low-end ones. So I'm surprised it's taken this long. Is anyone surprised that... Is anyone surprised it's taken this long, or are you surprised that it's happened?
No, I'm surprised it's taken as long as it has, and I'm not saying that Android tablets are better than iPads, because in a lot of respects they're not. In a lot of respects they are, but and I think the next generation of iPads is really going to prove that they're not by and large. But when you have Samsung, and I don't know how many tablets they have, 7, 8, something like that. I mean, they throw out 3 or 4 new ones every quarter. Or it seems like it's just by sheer numbers and the fact that Android's easy to use and everybody makes a tablet. It's hard to think it took this long to get here, but that shows you how good and popular iPads are.
Well, it also shows you just how utterly uncoordinated and screwed up the Android tablet market is. It shows how fragmented Android can be. I mean, some of the best things about the iPad market had been up until recently, they were all exactly the same form factor. You get an iPad 1, a 2, a 3, or, whatever they were calling them this week, you'd be able to get a case for it, no problem. You'd be able to get a case in different styles. You'd be able to have a kid-friendly case. When it came to Android, you'd have, every tablet fit into something different. It kind of annoys me that the Nexus 7 has two completely different form factors. So, and the cases for it aren't compatible with each other. You've got no really good kin-friendly cases. Nobody's stepping up to deal with the Android tablet market because there are just so freaking many of them.
You're right, and I've said this for a while, that if Amazon would offer the Play Store, I honestly feel like that would just be game over for Android tablets.
They would, no question about it.
I think they would, by and large, just run away with the market.
One comment I want to highlight, because I got this cool new thing. I can put comments on the screen. I've been dying to try it. Finally got a couple comments here. This is Andrew Jones McGuire says he finally got Android branded KitKats in the UK, and but he hasn't won anything because they're for the next version, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But they're going to have a contest in the Willy Wonka thing where you'd win something, a trip to the factory. But yeah, so that's cool. And I bet if you ask, because these things have a pretty good shelf life, so if you ask, they may have some in the back, and they're just trying to sell their non-KitKat Android branded packages. But you might be able to go and sweet talk somebody at your store and ask them to go check it out in the back. So anyway, okay, are we good on that topic?
Which topic? Yes, we're fine. Next topic, Dan.
Amazon, Alan. Amazon may have two phones in the works, an inexpensive one and a not inexpensive one. We've been talking about the possibility of an Android phone for quite a while. You guys think it's finally going to happen? And what would you... Any thoughts on this? What this is? It would make sense. I mean, they sell everything.
They sell everything, but the problem is that it's just so... Especially the 3D screen one, it's just so weird and kooky that it's hard to actually buy into that. I mean, there's this... They're basically saying that there's a feature where you can kind of peek through the side of the screen and see what's on the next screen, and that's part of the 3D imagery. And it's got 4 cameras, one on each corner, that when you pull your phone, like you pull your phone out of your pocket and you kind of got it tilted, it'll switch, it'll find the orientation of your head and face and alter the apps on your device, on your screen, so it looks like it's looking right at you, even though it's at a tilt. That's just A, mind-blowingly weird, and B, 4 cameras on a phone would just make that thing super, super bulky.
Yeah, this doesn't interest me in any way. Does this interest you? Because like certain features, like a larger screen size, or pure Nexus, or front-facing speakers, are like, oh, that's cool, right? Other features, like half the crap Samsung puts on their phones, is just stuff. Like I said a million times, the only time I use the stylus on my note is to show someone the stylus. I don't really use it. I think Bruce uses it. But a lot of these things, the 3D thing, it doesn't motivate
and they
me
talked
in
about
any way.
they talked about the free Amazon phone, but to me that's kind of BS, because Amazon's not going to let you just have a free phone. They're going to lock you into Prime or something for 5 years. I mean, it's not going to be free. And I mean, if you like Prime, I love Prime, so it wouldn't be a bother for me. But I mean, it's not going to be free. They're not just going to hand you a phone.
I got 4 packages from Amazon today.
Right. I mean, I shop at Amazon all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to lock myself into anything. And if the phone sucks, I don't want to be locked into this phone for 5 years and then want another phone because this one kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I just learned of local Amazon. You guys heard about that?
Amazon Local?
Yeah, where they have these deals kind of like Groupon and everything, and you can. Mm-hmm. It's kind of interesting. Yes. Next
up. Go, Bruce. Next up is it's kind of a rumor. Microsoft asked HTC to put Windows Phone on its Android phones, says a report. I've seen one guy who had Windows Phone, and he really liked it. And I laughed at him, of course. I said, you're like the only guy. And he is, the only one I've ever met. And I always look at people's phones. I'll see someone sitting there, the new phone, like, what phone you got there, It's like, S2, it's really good. It's like, yeah. So, yeah, apparently The Verge here, Microsoft asked HTC to put Windows Phone on Android. And this, I agree with this. Redmond has its work cut out convincing OEMs to continue to license its struggling software. How many folks have you seen in the wild with a Windows Phone, guys? And,
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was in Atlanta at this conference, and I was in a long line. You know, they have these food trucks when you have these mega conferences, you know, because it takes a while to feed everybody. And I was behind two Australians, and you know, and they've got a phone out, and I'm behind them, so I'm interested in what kind of phone they got. Sure enough, they've got one of the Nokia window phones. So that's the first time I've actually seen a Windows phone in the wild. And had a little discussion with them. They were very, very happy with their Nokia window phones. And so I went ahead and got my spaghetti and meatballs and scratched my head. But they seem to be very happy with it.
I'll admit, the one person I know who has a Windows phone absolutely loves it. He will rave about it all the time. Then again, he works for Microsoft, so he's a little bit biased. But, you know, he does rave about it all the time, but he also raves about everything else Microsoft does all the time. So it's hard to kind of see he's very impartial on this at all.
You can't blame him for trying, you know, to get other hardware manufacturers to put it on there. But
no, well, and this is you know, they're trying to convince HTC, who is making a Windows phone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like these guys are totally unfamiliar with it, but, you know, this is hey, when you're selling an Android phone, why don't you also sell a Windows phone at the same time? That seems kind of weird.
Well, it does seem kind of weird, and I think I attribute it to Microsoft looking at the HTC One, which is a really cool phone and a really nice phone, and kind of looking at their lineup and thinking, wow, we don't have anything like that. We don't have anything that cool, that unique, that different, that special. I mean, their Lumia phones are nice, but they're heavy, they're bulky, they're Nokias. Well, now they're Microsoft, but that was part of it. But you know, to me, the mistake was, if you want a dual boot Android and then Windows Phone, the hardware on that thing would just have to be massive. I mean, you're gonna need so much power to that phone. It's just going to be ridiculous.
The only reason they wouldn't do it is if they don't think it'll sell. Because if they think it would sell, because this article has indicated, and it's probably true, that Microsoft's offering to do a lower cost or even free licensing deal. And if Nokia or HTC thinks that these things would sell, then they'd be stupid not to take advantage of it, right? So obviously they don't. They don't want to take that gamble.
Well, I mean, even if they think it might sell, as Nate pointed out, it might be such a detriment on, you know, it might negatively impact the phone itself so badly that everyone is going to actually try it and say, hey, this is crap. HTC doesn't know how to manufacture phones. My next phone is going to be a Samsung. HTC might not want to take that risk, even for free.
A couple comments here. Andrew says, let me move my chair, sorry. Andrew says, Amazon and anyone else will have the issue that without being Google certified, Google Play services will eventually mean some apps just won't run on a device that doesn't have Play services. Andrew Jones-McGuire, he spotted 3 Windows phones so far, heavily advertised here. I think you're in the UK, right? Ken Bruce, I've seen precisely 0 Windows phones in the wild. So there. That's less. I got to tell you, but you know, our very small sample size of 2 people is both loved it. And I think it's about the ecosystem. Like I was talking to Craig Shipp, who's just the biggest Apple fanboy and Android troll in existence, our dear friend. He said, I said, I wouldn't mind having an iPhone for a while to see what all the fuss is about and just, you know, be able to compare it, because most people have one or the other. They've never had the other, and they can't really, you know, they'll trash one, but they've never had one. And he said, you really need a Mac to integrate with it, to get in the ecosystem, to really use it fully. And so I think if you are a Windows person, if you're using Exchange server and you have a Windows 8 laptop, touchscreen, the whole deal, this may be something that you would enjoy. Microsoft typically doesn't put out crappy products. And I remember when the Surface was first announced, I was excited about the prospect of sort of like a Transformer Prime type device where you had a nice keyboard and you could make it a tablet if you're out on the go, or you could connect it and have a good keyboard. and be able to run full-blown Windows programs, because I do a lot of Windows, like from a newspaper, we use the Adobe Creative Suite, and all the Android and the tablets and phones are all a compromise. You have special apps and stuff, and they can do neat things, and they're portable, but it's nothing like the full desktop experience you have. And then Andrew says, in regard to Alan's comment about detriment to HTC Phone, hasn't stopped them selling crap phones so far. Any final thoughts on this topic, guys?
No. Next topic.
Next topic. Let me find what is the next topic?
Ah, that's why you didn't go on.
It's the poor man's Bose dock.
Oh, yeah. All right, so this is, where do we begin here? Let's see here. This is the RCA Internet System, the Internet Music System, and it's got an Android tablet, a 7-inch removable Android tablet. I guess it's a good way to sell Android tablets. What's the point of this versus having a nice stereo? Like I have my studio system here, and if I want to play something, like my housekeeper comes in, and she has her playlist on her phone. She has, I think, an S3 or an S4, and so I have a little RCA cable that goes from a mini 1/8 inch to the RCA, the white and the red, and I plug it into the mixing board, and she can listen to it on the fancy speakers while she's cleaning the place, right? I don't see, I guess there's a market for this. I mean, it's, Christmas is coming up, right? Or the holidays.
Yeah, but what's the pull? The tablet? Is it an RCA tablet? When was the last time you bought an RCA anything?
And it's $178. Can you imagine what kind of sound you're going to get out of a tablet and speakers that total $178? I'd rather spend my money on a nice quality Bluetooth speaker.
I wouldn't even buy a tablet for $178. Why would I get the whole system? Just gonna be crap on top of that.
So this is stream your music on the Google Play Music. It's like I saw this guy trying to sell a computer. It's yard sale, flea market. Oh, it has a word processor. Microsoft Word. Raw programming. Audio devices, so there we have it. We're gonna maybe Nate, you can get a demo unit on review or something, and give us and report back.
If I get a demo unit, it's going straight to drop test and will it blend.
All right, so next is this is kind of a neat thing. This is called the Bright Switch. And I'm reluctant to do these Indiegogo and Kickstarter stories because the products aren't out yet. And you can't buy it. I like to talk about stuff you can actually get. But this is the Bright Switch. It's an Android-powered light switch with full touchscreen automation. I think it would be cool. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't watch the whole video. I think it would be cool if you could walk into your house and tell your house to light up the bathroom and the bedroom. I think Bill Gates, this was a big thing with his house when he built it years ago. It was fully automated. What do you guys think about this, the Bright Switch? Are you going to rush out and get this?
Well, I'd be more likely to get this than I would the RCA Music Center, but I watched the whole video. The marketing guy could use some acting lessons or be a little bit more excited about it toward the end of the video. But I thought it was interesting. It's a smart system too, because it just like with Google Now cards, as soon as I arrive in Melbourne, it starts giving me these cards about you're so far away from this place and that place. It knows that I eat lunch at Denny's a lot, which Denny's I go to. But this thing will actually, if it sees you coming home from work at the same time every day and turning the lights on, it'll just do that automatically. Home automation, I think, is something that's interesting, and it can be quite expensive. So, but if there's a way that you can do it less expensive and have it work right using Android, it has some potential, I think. So I'm kind of a look and see on this. But
wouldn't it make more sense, Bruce, to simply have an app on your phone and have some kind of interface, like the same thing with like?
No.
Why not?
That's absolutely the wrong way to do it, Dan. Nice try, but absolutely the wrong way to do it.
My favorite
of course,
comment
these guys
from you
also
last week, it was I said something. I tried to explain it, and I said, but Alan can correct me if I'm wrong. And you said something like, actually, Dan, as usual, you were almost entirely wrong in your entire description or something.
Well, you were. Let's be honest here. No, the right way to do this is not to have everything sitting on your phone. And the reason why not is because you may not have your phone in your house when you want your house to do something. So if you want your lights to go on at 6 p.m., even when you're not there, if your phone isn't there, it's not going to do it. That said, this solution is interesting in a lot of ways, but I think having every single light switch be not just an Android device, which actually is a pretty clever idea, but a full-powered Android device that has memory and is capable of running apps, that might be overdoing it a little, because that basically says that every light switch is not networked, and that seems kind of stupid. There's been home automation systems around for 30-plus years. We really, a lot of them do the very basic things. Having central controllers be Android controlled, that's great. I think that's brilliant. Having every single plug be Android controlled, I don't know. I could think of interesting things to do with it, but I can't see that really being the best solution.
My problem with that is, what you're talking about with every switch being Android controlled is, a lot of times apps get left behind when there's an update, or it's buggy, and you're at that point relying on somebody else to fix it. That's where I have a problem with home automation.
A couple comments here. I didn't realize it was actually playing the audio because I can't hear it's complicated. I have the most complicated setup, but so I'll watch that.
And it changes every week.
Yeah, from Andrew, and then David Firstenberg.
Young
Alan,
Dr. Firstenberg is right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He says next.
Yeah. So Alan has trained his father to troll me as well. Good for him.
Dr. Firstenberg, Esquire.
I've asked him to include a thermometer. I don't understand why it doesn't have one included. Yeah, I think they have stuff like that. So that's cool. Next. What's next? Next is, see, when I have this thing up, I can't. Ugh. Next is, okay, this is the Note 3. How to use the one-handed operation on the new Note. And this is an issue. Basically, it puts it, puts all your controls in the bottom, because there are times when you want the full screen.
Basically, you should have bought an appropriately sized phone. Is what you should have done.
That's
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 not crazy.
This is
it
a
is an
gigantic
issue.
phone that you can't even use with one hand. So here's a mode. Here's more TouchWiz crap on top of extra TouchWiz crap. No, this is the stupidest thing ever. Buy an appropriately sized phone and stop buying Samsung crap.
Man,
well,
Nate,
the Note
have you been taking lessons from me or what?
Nate, do you have
I saw
any,
this and I almost
any
put
thoughts
do
on
the
this,
hand
Nate?
one.
Pixel. I almost put my fist through my Pixel because I'm so sick of this crap. Crap on top of crap, and TouchWiz is like 75 megabytes of crap now.
This is why I
Take your Samsung phone, snap it in half, send it to me.
I like my.
If you snap the Samsung phone in half, you actually get two full-size phones.
Two appropriately sized phones.
Exactly.
Listen, this is why I'm very interested in the Nexus 5, because it's not that much smaller than my Note 2, and it's pure Android, and it probably would be easier on the phone. It is an issue, Bruce. You got a Note 2 like I do. Yours isn't even cracked.
I have a Note 2, and I would not trade it for a 5-inch phone or a 4.7-inch phone. I like it. The Note 2 comes with some left-handed operations, and I'm left-handed. I'm a southpaw, and it is nice. Like for the calculator, it pushes it off to one side. On the Note 3, though, they've got this thing where like all of the apps will run in a smaller version. I think that's really dumb. Now, I will agree that's crap. But, just making the keyboard shift a little bit more to the left. I mean, I even set up my phone. The apps that I use first thing in the morning, I've got all those within reach, And so, if I have to do anything, with two hands, it's an app that I don't use on a regular basis. So, I like it.
It's a compromise. I mean, it's basically a two-handed phone if you're trying to type something. It's very difficult to operate with one hand, and I'm a little guy, right? I'm like 5'7".
But keep in mind, it's also a good substitute for a Kindle. I was sitting on the plane. The lady next to me had a Kindle. I'm here reading a novel, and she keeps looking over and says, that's pretty readable right there. So,
it's if I'm actually reading a book, like if my power goes out because I'm in the woods, if the power goes out, I will use my Nexus 7 before I'd use the Note 2 because it's just easier to read.
If Samsung can shrink the screen on a screen, why are they making 34,000 phones every quarter? Why don't they just make one phone and shrink it to fit? Stupid. Move on. I hate this.
I think Nate has a sugar issue tonight.
Give me some sugar, Nate.
All right, so
sugar.
we're all really excited about the new features of the Note 3. I'm totally interested in that Nexus 5. Okay, so next up is nearly 50% of Android devices now run Jelly Bean. That's good, and of course,
whoa. Yeah, that's good. It's better than not running Jelly Bean. But do you have the graph that you can bring up, Dan, or do I need to bring it up myself?
Sure.
Okay. The deceptive part about this graph, and it is
four versions of Jelly Bean now, or three?
3 versions of Jelly Bean. The 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3, and the only reason why we don't have a 4.4 is because they like chocolate more than jelly beans. But the important thing to notice here is yes, Jelly Bean has almost half the market. That's a good thing. Gingerbread, however, still has more than a quarter of the market. That's a bad thing.
Who are these Froyo people? Good God.
Well, these Froyo people are people who bought phones 2 years ago. That's it. Just 2 years ago, Froyo, and I'm waving one of them around right now, was the top of the market. This is what phones were being upgraded to.
Wow.
And look at the name on this. This is a Samsung.
Break it.
Oh, man, do I want to break it. But, it actually has a nice sliding keyboard, so.
Oh, good.
I mostly keep it around to wave at you guys and to, fend off attackers with.
You need that brick that they sold in the 80s, that if you were angry at something, it was like a foam brick, and you could, throw it at your television when, like Bruce, if he's watching MSNBC.
Right, exactly. Anyway, Samsung marketed one of those, too. So, so the reason why we still have Froyo people is because the last keyboard phones that were out there were running Froyo. The last batch of phones from 2 years ago.
Oh, my God. Do you have a slide-out keyboard on that?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And I know a lot of people who like their slide-out keyboards.
They do. A lot of people are not ready to let go of that tactile, hard button thing.
And there are good reasons for it, too.
I loved my... I tell you what, I had a BlackBerry, and I loved my keyboard. I've never had a keyboard as good as that.
All of those phones are still 2 years old, so those are the people who are still showing up on Froyo.
At some point, don't they break?
No, because they actually made phones that were, decent quality then, and they weren't all screen, which fractures when you breathe on them funny.
Rawr.
The important thing to look at, though, with this breakdown isn't how many phones are running Jelly Bean, it's which versions they're running. So it's 36% of them are still running Jelly Bean 4.1. That was the version that was released at I.O. last year, so that's a year and a half old. Okay? Your Samsung Note 2 is probably just getting upgraded to it now, if I'm, have it correct.
We're
There's still
4.1. So we're not 4.2 yet, Bruce, are we?
No, we're 4.1.2.
Okay, so you're still in the dark ages when it comes to Jelly Bean. The 4.2 phones have 10% of the market. Okay, so that means the Moto X, which is just rolling out, it's brand new, and it's not even running the most recent version of Jelly Bean yet. So that's 10% of the market. Okay, 4.3, which essentially means you either have a Galaxy Nexus, a Nexus 7, or a Nexus 4. 1 point something percent of the market. That's nothing. Nothing. That means that the Nexus has almost no penetration at all in the marketplace. That's how we know the Nexus is a total and utter failure.
Somebody got a comment they want to throw up?
Yeah, Andrew Jones says still possible to get gingerbread and Froyo phones for like £5 on contract in this country.
Yeah, and it's, here in the U.S., when you go to get like a prepaid device, like, Walmart or Target, a lot of those phones are still running really old versions of Android, and they're new phones.
Ken Bruce says that very same thing. My parents got a pair of cheap Samsung phones a few months ago. They came with gingerbread.
There you go. It's ugly, it's old, it's, clumsy, but those are, people who just need a phone. His parents probably just needed a phone to get by, and it suits them well, and there you go.
And they're not getting upgraded. They're not going to get upgraded. They're never going to get upgraded.
Never.
Your phone isn't even going to get a freaking upgrade.
It's funny watching, like, I watch West Wing, and I'm on a 24 kick, and watching them is the most, like, technically advanced guys in the world at the time were, like, with their flip feature phones calling the president, I guess it wasn't that long ago.
The BlackBerry was king of the hill just 4 years ago, Dan. And look where they are now.
Right up until iPhone, the BlackBerry ruled the world.
Now, how did those two comments just disappear? Did someone nuke them?
No! The freaking comment tracker's broken! I told you this!
Okay.
Next topic.
Next topic is... What is it? It's Google Ads. Yeah, I don't even understand what the hell. I mean, you guys are gonna have to talk about this because it's Google Ads approved web app support to Chrome for Android.
This is subversive, is what this is. This is Chrome taking websites and placing them natively on your Android device instead of apps. So if you go to, let's say, theverge.com, but you don't have the Verge app, you can click on the menu, put add to, select add to home screen or desktop or whatever it is, and it'll let you rename the app if you want to, so you convert, something like The Verge is amazing, and save that to your device. To me, the really interesting thing is it'll open up the, mobile page, which that's hit or miss. That's where it gets kind of tricky. But, if you have the bandwidth management enabled in Chrome, this could save you a lot of data.
Alan, would you like to add anything to that explanation?
Is it actually caching all of the website JavaScript and HTML locally? Or is it just a shortcut from your desktop? That's the thing that hasn't been clear to me yet.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. My understanding right now, and I'm also unclear on that, is if there's an actual web app for the site you visit, then it caches it, but otherwise it just loads it.
But all a web app is it's JavaScript.
Website. Yeah, it's just JS.
Yeah.
And a very important comment. Andrew says HTC One was the last straw for me. I got a Nexus 4 in December, and then Andrew says, I really like Alan. He makes me laugh. So
Thank you. That's our job. So it's great to see that you got an HTC One. Did you get it from the Play Store? Because if you did, you're part of the 1%.
Yeah, they're not going to challenge Jeff Bezos anytime soon in the Play Store. All right, next is Themer. This was a neat app. I actually stole one of Nate's stories. I'd seen it from a lesser website, but then I saw Nate's version, so I put that in there. But this is a cool app. It's called Themer, and I signed up. You have to sign up it's in beta, and so I signed up to get it. So I can't say that I have it yet, but it looks pretty interesting. It's pretty cool themes for your phone because Android is very customizable. And this app, you have to go to the website and sign up, and then they'll send it to you to activate it. And
they'll send you an activation code, and there's a huge list right now. Huge list right now.
Hundreds of thousands. I think I've like 200,000 or 400,000 people ahead of me, it said.
Yeah, I've got like 48,000 ahead of me or something like that last time I checked. But what it really does is, usually when you have a theme on your device, it's because you've rooted your device and downloaded a custom ROM and created a theme and the whole thing. What this does is you don't have to root, and it makes it really simple to theme your device, which is something, especially if you're on Google+, you'll see a lot of people, these are my new icons, and this, the theme for my device, and it looks really cool, it's really different. And if you're into that kind of thing, Themer is really cool because it makes it really, really simple. And there's kind of a community built around it where people design themes and then upload them, and then you can use those. And it's a really, really cool thing. It just makes it super simple to theme your device.
And you've got to have 4.1 or better to be compatible.
Which is 50% of the market.
Absolutely.
48.6 to be precise. I've never been much of a themer. Even when I had the iPhone and and I would jailbreak it and stuff like that, and there were a lot of themes that you could download and everything. But wallpaper, yeah, I've never had a compelling reason to change my icons or anything. I can understand maybe why some would, but that doesn't float my boat.
Yeah, I'm not a themer. I'm not the sort of person that likes putting on a lot of different themes as well, or flipping between them, or doing anything beyond the most basic functionality. I'm a more of a functional person. I think, to their credit, though, some of these themes look like they're meant to be functional designs.
Right.
So that if you've got specific application needs or specific widget needs, the themes can accommodate that a lot better than a generic theme can. So kudos to these guys. I think this is an interesting approach to a tough problem.
Now, Nate, it's interesting. On one of the pictures in the article, there's a screen where it says "Complete action using launcher or themer." If you're using themer and you're using a theme, is that going to mess up like using Nova launcher? Is it going to take the place of a launcher?
Well, they're both launchers. That's part
Okay.
of the point. It's a launcher basically.
Okay.
It's a launcher, and yeah, you would. It's one or the other at that point.
Does we see all these pictures about the different styles it looks like, but what do you know about its launcher capabilities?
It's a launcher.
My understanding of it from people I've spoken to 2 people that use it, and they just they basically say it's almost like a skinned stock launcher. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
That's the way I'm understanding it.
I'm impressed with it. I think it's cool. I can't wait to try it. I've got 138,000 ahead of me, so Nate will have it first. We all hate
I'm
Nate
kind of
'cause he
with
gets stuff
Bruce on
first.
this. My phone is basically a widget machine, so changing it all up wouldn't do a whole heck of a lot for me. But some of it's really cool. There's like a Breaking Bad theme where it takes the icons and puts them. They're kind of like periodic table squares. So it's pretty cool if you want to change it up or you're into certain things that you want your entire phone to be themed that way. It's really cool.
Okay, cool. So there we have it. Our review of the Themer app, which none of us has. Okay, so ABC, the U.S. American Broadcasting Corporation, Australia has its own, and has brought its mobile TV service to Android phone. And I guess I could have put this in discussion. It's just sort of an alert, but if you like ABC shows, but I know that as a side topic here, I have Comcast, and so I have Xfinity, and I have an app. If I go, I can watch certain shows. I can watch live television here. I can watch CNN and MSNBC, Disney, CNBC, headline news, some sports stuff, and that's all the selections they have. Now, I'm not at all interested in Disney.
Different. That's a bit different, Dan, though, because you're talking about Comcast, right?
Right. I mean, I'm sure different carriers are different, but I'm just surprised at MSNBC and CNN, but not Fox News. So if I want to watch O'Reilly,
Well,
I
the
can't.
point to the point to the ABC thing is, this is really good for cord cutters, the people that don't have cable but still want to watch shows like those that are offered on ABC. The interesting thing was when I downloaded this, I tested it out. You still have to sit through commercials, so this is another avenue of monetization for AT&T. Or I'm sorry, ABC.
And I don't have a problem with that. I know, like Hulu, I think is doing quite a number of commercials. I think it's a fair trade. If I don't have to pay
I
80
think
bucks,
it's totally fair.
huh?
I think it's totally fair.
Yeah, I don't mind watching a commercial. I mean, just like you get paid to write an article. They got to recoup that somehow.
It's
And
just like
so
ads
having
popping up in
ads-
your Google search. They got to pay the bills, and that's why you have free services and things like that. So
Not
I'm
every
fine with it.
unlike our Android Week and Google Plus Week, which airs Friday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. These are not designed to be a money-sucking hole. This show's a money-sucking hole. We lose. I mean, we have no monetization, and we spend money doing it in time. But I think it's neat to see more and more people,
I think
more
it's
and more of these
interesting.
companies making stuff, letting you consume it where and when on your terms. Not having to rush home to catch the 6 o'clock news anymore. You can watch it online later. The whole
There
deal.
you go.
I think it's interesting. I think my biggest issue with this is that once again ABC is competing against themselves, which is entirely normal for this particular company.
Can you elaborate?
Sure, they're part owners of Hulu. This is something that directly competes against Hulu. It has the exact same thing, except it's offering it in a completely different way.
So Hulu free.
It's unclear what they're actually going with this. I really think it's just two different divisions doing the exact same thing that happen to be competing against each other.
So we're
an
all going to
interesting
download
point.
this and watch.
No, it's got 151 one-star ratings, 111 five-star ratings. Do yourself a favor, get a Sling box. You can control your DVR, record your
Get
shows.
a Chromecast.
And then a couple comments here. Ken
Chromecast
Bruce Ditto
always.
reminds me of a hellfire preaching Baptist preacher. It's not designed to, from Andrew, it's not designed to just view web pages. It's designed to be a shortcut. We're talking about the Themer app to an HTML5 web app. Yes, Nexus.
Yeah, but an HTML5 web app is a web page with JavaScript. Let's not confuse things here.
HTML5 is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
I mean,
Alan does
that's,
not just yell at me; he yells at the audience members.
and I'm not saying Andrew's wrong. What the question is it just a shortcut to that stuff, or does it do some local caching of that? If it does local caching, that's awesome. If it's just a shortcut, that's nice.
And Alan, also Andrew has suggest a topic. You can just comment here
Sure.
or send a post
No,
to us.
Andrew, you are more than welcome to suggest stuff for this show because, this show isn't long enough.
It's a 30-minute show because Google Plus Week was too long. I've completely lost control of Google Plus Week, so I'm not even going to try to shorten that one. But the goal of this was 30 minutes, and I don't think we've ever done that, except the time I was cut off by a power outage or something. Then we met the time quota. Okay, so anyway, next up.
We also have this one from Andrew. He asks, is the ABC thing presumably like the UK BBC iPlayer? Something like that, except for the fact that the iPlayer, they've got a lot more, they're a lot more locked down, and they're a lot more tightly controlled about where they're going with it. I think in this case, ABC really has no clue where they're going with it, so they're trying everything. And this is just one of the things they're trying.
That's high praise from Alan.
More ways to get ads in our face. That's all it is.
That's absolutely right. Okay, so next up
So
is...
to answer my question, the HTML5 app is a cached, a standard web page is not cached. Okay, so I get where you're going with that. I think we're in agreement here.
Okay, Hangouts. I didn't put this one in there, so whoever put this in there, I haven't seen this until just now. But Hangouts are getting SMS support.
I put this in last minute. I saw this shortly before we went on from Android Police. And Android Police kind of has someone they're confident in, feeding them some information about Android 4.4 and some new kind of googly things. And one of those was Hangouts getting SMS support. And the reason I put this in there was this, I kind of wanted to ask Alan about this. This kind of confuses me because when we had Chi on the Friday show, I asked him about XMPP support and what was going on with that. And he didn't really. I mean, he kind of committed to, yeah, we had made a tough decision by going away from that with Hangouts, but with Talk at least, I think that XMPP was how they handled SMS. So I don't know if you know how they would handle this.
I don't. My guess, and this is purely a guess, is, and he kind of hints at this in the story as well, isn't so much that that Hangouts, the overall product, will support SMS, but that the Hangouts app on Android may support SMS. And the difference, and there is a difference, is that currently, if you look at something like Google Voice, the way it does SMS is it's got its central SMS controller, and a central voice controller. So anything that's going to you via Google Voice is going to their central controller and then to your phone. SMS goes directly to your phone via your carrier. So what this sounds like it's saying is that the Hangout app will also do the same thing that your messaging app on your phone does, i.e. it acts as an SMS client. It's still going to require the phone, it'll still require the carrier support for SMS, but since Android can essentially tap into that, it's got its own interface for SMS, the Hangout app on your phone will also handle text messaging, it'll handle video messaging, and oh yeah, it'll handle SMS messaging. The question then comes in is, okay, what's going to happen if I'm on my desktop and someone sends me an SMS message? Will my desktop Hangout app be able to handle SMS? And that's entirely unclear. But
see, I saw that, and my immediate reaction was the Motorola app, the Chrome extension they have for the Moto X, which you can see who's calling you and receive text messages in your browser. So
in your browser on your phone or on your
desktop.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, I didn't know about it. I got a Moto X review device a couple days ago, and that was kind of part of the, when you start the phone up, it was telling me about that. But basically, it's a Chrome extension, and it'll tell you who's calling you, so you don't have to go find your phone or whatever. But you can also receive text messages on it. That's obviously a different app altogether.
Right,
but still,
mind you, I can certainly see that if you've got your Messenger app running on your phone, and your phone is on, and it receives an SMS message via this Hangout app, that it will also then echo to the desktop or to any other Hangout app that's attached to your Google account, that you've got this SMS message. So it may act as a relay, but it's a kind of awkward relay. Still, if it can do that, I am already in love.
I'm with you.
I think that would be great. Now, I very much am waiting for the Hangouts app to totally replace all of my other messaging apps. I am looking for it. I am waiting for it. It's what was promised to us, and I am waiting for them to come through on that promise.
I am deathly afraid that they're going to... Excuse me, I got my air conditioner blowing my hair. I'm deathly afraid that they're going to screw up Google Voice.
Google screwing something up?
I'm deathly afraid of that happening. Is that a rational fear?
Yes.
Because right now, like Craig Shipp,
although admittedly, it's pretty hard for them to screw Google Voice up too much more than they already have.
Well, okay, but I have it integrated in my Sprint phone, and it's great because I can use my regular phone number and I get all the Google Voice features. But like Craig Shipp will call me or answer a call, and if he's in Gmail, he gets that neat little just simple pop-up to answer the phone call, and he can talk to the computer. And then if he's in Google Plus, it opens it up in a Hangout window, like you would.
That's what I posted when they first started with the Hangouts calls. That's what I made this post. And Alan saw it, I know, because he tagged somebody, but
that
they just
interface
totally screwed it up.
sucks.
They
That
totally
sucks.
screwed it up.
It
they
sucks
totally
so
screwed
bad.
It up. I love the Gmail thing because it was just this little pop-up in the bottom right corner of the window. It wasn't obnoxious.
But then you'll get
Hangouts just screwed it up. It's this big window, and redialing was this huge hassle to just find the number and redial
even
it.
better, if you don't have Gmail open, if you forget to open Gmail in a tab just to have it there, then if someone calls you, your computer rings and it says right on the tab, incoming call from Nate Swanner, but
Right.
there's no way to get to the call.
Right.
So it's teasing me. And if I open up Gmail, Gmail has to be open when the call arrives. So you're literally can't answer it unless you have your phone. And my cell phone service sucks. I've got to hang out like a contortionist out the window. It's awful. I hope they don't screw up Google Voice because, my God, that's a great program.
The only good sign is that Google Voice, which had been nearly abandoned for 2 years, they really had done nothing with that app at all, within the past month has actually gotten some updates to it, and they were actually good and useful updates, shockingly enough. So, I mean, I kind of read that as a good sign that whoever is finally realized that they still had this source code around somewhere and has been editing it actually didn't, break it.
What's neat, and it's going to save our butts, is that they have this deal with Sprint, like I mentioned, where you can use your existing Sprint phone number, and you can activate Google Voice on your phone, and you can get all the great, the transcription, obviously of questionable accuracy, depending on, if Bruce calls me, then I would have a really reasonably accurate transcript. But if some, one of my redneck friends calls me, I'm not gonna be able to understand it all from the transcript. But if they really did a big change and screwed up Google Voice, then they would have a horrific tech support nightmare at Sprint. And so I think that's what's keeping them from messing with it too much. So I think that's
honestly, that was a pretty tech support nightmare to begin with, because they really, that really was a pretty bad mess.
I mean, you can't even do MMS with Google Voice, which is crazy. I mean, it's not rocket science to send a picture. You have to use your built-in thing, your whatever messaging app comes with your phone, to send a thing. Go ahead.
We got this from Andrew. What isn't clear is how Google would handle multiple devices on Hangouts with different phone numbers. If you reply from desktop, what number does it use? That's actually pretty clear. If you're replying, it'll use the number that was sent to it. The real question is what happens if you're originating a call to somebody that only has an SMS contact listed, and you're originating from your desktop. What number would it use? And the answer is it would probably need to set up a Google Voice number, and it would use that number, or maybe it would be smart enough to use whatever contact it's in, or who knows? I mean, there's a lot of uncertainties here and a lot of edge cases, and that's probably why it isn't rolled out yet.
Let me ask Nate, are we allowed to, can you tease your first impression without, stealing thunder from the post you're going to do? Can you do a quick tease on your first impressions of the HTC or the Moto X? I wasn't going to bring it up, but you brought it up, so.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do I don't know if we're going to do a post on it or not. It's kind of late in the game. They just gave it to me just to see, but my initial reaction is it's a bit too small. I actually don't use it day to day or moment to moment.
Like if I were a phone, I'd be a Moto X.
Honestly, if I were a smaller human being, this would probably be fine.
You're
it's
6 what? What's your height?
I'm like 6'1", 6'2". It's just a very slight phone. It's got a good build. The build quality is fantastic on it. It's just
Motorola does good hardware. I mean,
they do, and it's just so slight. To me, the in-hand feel is just not very good at all. Here, I'll try to get it out for you while I'm talking, but it's got some edge cases where it's good. Obviously, being able to say okay Google now and give it some command is good. But this is the Moto X in hand, and for me to I can kind of rep it all the way. It's not that comfortable for me.
Do you think for first responders, construction workers, guys who really need something that's durable, that it might be a good solution for them? I mean, what's the?
I don't know that it would be that durable. I mean, it's a sturdy, well-built phone, but I don't think it's going to win any massive drop test things. But anyway,
okay, so
we're going to move on from that.
All right, so next I think we have our recommended apps, right?
No, we have this bizarre thing about AnTuTu.
Oh, yeah.
It can end benchmark cheating.
Our discussion topic. This is an article from our own Nate Swanner. Apparently, believe it or not, companies that are selling phones,
like Samsung,
are trying to get better results in benchmark tests. So I'm thinking like a gas station that had a button when the people came to make sure a gallon is a gallon. When you pump it, they had a button they could throw to make sure a gallon gets pumped out. But when you come up in a real use case scenario, maybe it's not. So tell us, I've heard it's really not that big a deal. It's sort of a salacious story, but it's not really that much that they're priming it. Tell us, Nate, because you wrote the story, so
Well,
you
AnTuTu,
hopefully have some knowledge.
They put a thing on their site that basically, in a nutshell, said, we understand our app has been compromised. We found a way to cheat the cheaters out of cheating, and we're going to do that. And they've promised some sort of, they call it camouflaging their app. So, because basically what's happening is, Samsung, LG, pretty much everybody, they're including on their device a way that it can identify that it's running a benchmark and basically take the red line off of the device that naturally occurs when you're doing anything else. So you get these ridiculous benchmark results that aren't real-world scenarios, as they're meant to be with a benchmark test. So AnTuTu is basically saying, we figured out how they're doing what they're doing, and we've got some camouflaging we can do, and that's what they're promising. And this is, we rely on benchmarks as a benchmark for how phones perform against one another, and the kind of consensus, since Samsung's been cheating and then we find out everybody else has been cheating, is let's just forget about benchmarks then. They obviously don't mean anything. And obviously,
and they haven't for decades.
And obviously AnTuTu has a problem with that thinking. So that's what it is.
Well, as long as they're cheating in the same way, I guess then all the benchmarks are accurate, right?
It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like steroids in baseball. I mean, if everybody's on steroids, then okay, whatever.
It's a crime because those guys like Babe Ruth that were
This is
operating on a
bogus.
six-pack of beer and a few hot dogs, and they get their
This is
records taken away.
bogus. This is totally bogus. AnTuTu is going to come out with camouflage, so Samsung's going to detect the camouflage, and it's an arms race. It's a never-ending arms race. We saw this with PCs. We saw this with Macs. It's totally bogus. Benchmarks are totally bogus to begin with, and once you get past that fact and realize the fact that actually trying to use these phones, they're just going to suck. That's what it boils down to. So
I just want to know where is our Oliver North? Who's going to fall on the sword? That's what I want to know.
Oh my God! This is the cliche show. This is the analogy show.
Yeah, be nice now. It's Oliver North's 70th birthday today.
Is it that old? Really?
Yes.
Happy birthday, Ollie.
Yep.
Thanks for everything.
My parents are 75, and they're hysterical. I call them up, and they're totally lucid. They're fun. They're funny. And but I had no idea Ollie North was that old. I remember when he was in the hearing, and his attorney, Brendan Sullivan, said, you guys are laughing at me because I'm going off on a rare tangent.
yes, and because the show's already running long.
Yeah, so they
Next
said he
topic.
wasn't allowed to talk. And he said, the attorney said, I'm not a potted plant. And that was the viral meme.
Hey, Alan, in preaching, that's called a rabbit trail.
Next topic.
See, you
Dan.
preachers, you just read Reader's Digest and rehash.
Yeah.
Journalism.
Next
Journalism from the
topic,
pulpit.
Dan.
So is it time for our apps of the week?
Next time is our WTF topic, so naturally I will go to Bruce first. Fox News, this is great. I saw a tweet from, what's his name, Brian Stelter from the New York Times. He said when he first saw this thing, I don't know how to describe it. It has to be designed by Samsung because these tablets, it's absolutely absurd. Brian Stelter said he thought it was an innovative way to bring social into news. My thinking is, actually report news and people will watch. I don't give a damn what, Sally Jones in Monterey is tweeting about some news story. I want to know what the news is. But anyway, so they've got these ridiculous 55-inch. I almost thought this reminds me of what was the story when they announced KitKat, and we led off with did any of you guys believe this? Because Alan and Nate and I were all private messaging each other trying to find another source to see if they were trolling us because it was so absurd we didn't believe it. And Craig Shipp and I were doing the same thing today because it was so crazy. But then I saw it. But apparently, they've got these gigantic 55-inch
I research
monitors.
technology for a living, but even I was.
Let me lower the volume here. And it's a Twitter wall. And I don't know. I mean, where do you begin to troll this? I don't know how. It seems ludicrous. What do you guys think? Am I crazy here, or is this stupid?
Well, I watched the entire video. I think it's interesting. These are their journalists, and normally you don't see these people in a news show, but they're out there now, and they're fact-checking and running down stories, and then they have the ability to push any of those, any of the images on those screens right to the camera feed. I think people like to troll on Fox anyway, regardless of what your political persuasion is. But I give them kudos for trying something different. And if you watch the video, they have 3 different Twitter screens. One is, when it first comes up, one when they're investigating to see if it's true or not, and then they have a verified screen. So I think it's kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes. They seem to think that this is the wave of the future and that this will be copied. They said so on the video. But I think it's interesting.
Bruce, this and I have friends at Fox. I think Shep Smith is a fantastic journalist. I like O'Reilly. He's said my name on TV. I sent him a comment and he used it. I know Sean Hannity, and I know Chad Pergram. I know a lot of guys at Fox. And because I'm right next to D.C., so you run into these guys as you're covering the same things. But this reminds me, I swear to God, remember the election night, and they had Will.i.am and a hologram on CNN. And the whole thing was like, what is the practical use of this other than it's a gimmick, like what something Samsung would do?
Dan, this is obviously a gimmick. This is obviously, just ridiculous. But we have a great comment about it, and let me put that comment up. And that is, putting stuff on the screen is bogus. And, oh, look who said that! Dan, how many comments have you put up on the screen tonight? And you're going to make fun of Fox News for putting stuff up on the screen? Come on, get real. Next story.
And just because The Verge says it's an outrageous newsroom doesn't make it so. It's different. It's weird looking. I'll grant you that. But let's see how it works.
There's a difference, Alan, between news and
what we're doing?
We're doing talking head analysis, right?
Come on. Next story. Who cares? Next story.
I'm forced to defend my program on my program.
Dan, here's the thing. You were raving about how wonderful the Huffington Post was in their Huffington Post live Hangout newsroom, okay? It's the same crap. Next story.
Technically, I was raving about it.
It is the same crap, but
the same crap.
It's bigger crap.
So it's bigger crap.
It's
bigger crap. It's
Yeah.
a Great Dane crap.
And shame on you for ascribing those screens to be Samsung. You don't know that to be true.
It's the
You're just
it's the
trolling
new-
Samsung.
Can you shrink it down to a normal size screen? Can you do that?
It's
That's
the
what I
Note-
want to know.
it's
That's
the
how you know
Note-
it's a Samsung.
It's the Note 55. It's they're pre-announcing here. They're leaking.
Next freaking story, people, please.
I think we're done with stories. Now it's time for our recommended apps of the week. Alan, are you skipping this one out as well? Are you
I'm still
on your...
skipping this one because we're running late as usual. Next.
And keeping now that is bullshit. That's the reason. You didn't.
That.
All right. So anyway.
Okay. My app is the built-in timer app, and here's what the timer says. Next story. Next app. Bruce,
All right.
what do you got for us this evening?
Okay, my recommended app of the week is an app called GText, and let me go ahead. This is what the app looks like. You have to have the app on your phone to be able to use the whole system, but you're looking now at the Google Play Store app for GText. There is also the GText extension that you can add to Chrome. You can go to the Chrome Web Store to find this. And then there is the GText from GText. This allows you to do SMS from Gmail. I'm going to show you what GText looks like. This is called the classic view, and I can look at all of the text that I've been doing here. I have what's called the Power View. This is mightytext.net. You have to have the extension and have this set up on your phone, the app on your phone, in order for all this to work. But it's a pretty cool thing. So when somebody texts me now, we were talking about the implementation of SMS and Hangouts. When somebody texts me, I get a little pop-up now, and I can reply to that text from my browser. And this is what it does to your Gmail. It adds a compose SMS to your Gmail, so I can click here and I can compose an SMS right from here. If I go, it also adds a text thing underneath your inbox, so I can go here and I can see all these same texts right there, and I'll get off of that because I don't want to, show a bunch of phone numbers and everything. But Mighty Text, check it out. I love it. Somebody recommended it to me last week, and I've been using it, and it works great. So Mighty Text, check it out. I think you'll like it.
Okay, so Mighty Text, we'll check that out. We think we'll like it.
Not all Mighty Text, but Mighty Text.
Okay. All right, so my app.
So that's Bruce, not Almighty?
No, that's right.
Oh dear.
It's a great app. I guarantee you, if you install it, you'll find yourself liking it until Google gets SMS and Hangouts working.
Try it, you'll like it, kids.
Yes.
And now Bruce is going to read Green Eggs and Ham from
No.
his hero Ted Cruz's rendition.
So we can stretch the show out to 21 hours.
All right, so my app is called Circa News. I saw this, and Nate actually posted about it, so I'm going to get Nate to help me on this because I've played with it a little bit, and it's neat. It's a new news app, and of course I'm a news junkie. So this is the actual app in the Play Store, and the way they describe it, it's the best way to read, follow headline news on your Android device. So one thing that's neat is you can, if something's interesting to you, like the Supreme Court's getting back in session, or Amazon, like here, Amazon's going to hire X number of seasonal workers, the glass size influences the amount of wine people drink. If you were interested in any of these things, you can click to say, I want to follow this, and then it's going to learn about your interests and deliver a tailored news experience similar to Flipboard but different. Flipboard will tend to display news sources that I engage with or have read before, so it kind of learns as you go. So Nate has a story here. Circa for Android is a fresh take on the news reader app. I'm impressed with it so far. I just played with it a little bit briefly, but I'm recommending that folks try it if you're a news geek like I am. Nate, what were your thoughts? Because I know you reviewed this. What do you think about this app? Did you play with this a little bit?
I did. I played with it for about a half hour. I like the app. The thing to keep in mind, it threw me off was they don't break up paragraphs like you're used to breaking up paragraphs. They put them in like little cards, which to me, based on everything I do with Google, a card suggests an entirely new topic, but that's not the case with Circa. It just breaks up the paragraphs into cards. The other thing to keep in mind is Circa they have an editorial staff. So you're basically getting news that the editorial staff feels is pertinent to whatever topic it is. So for some people that don't like their news filtered and they like to, kind of the Redditors of the world, they may not really like this too much, especially if Circa ends up missing something or not including something. People may have trouble with that. But I really liked it. You can follow stories, which makes it nice. You'll get an alert on your phone or your tablet or whatever, letting you know there's a new story. But it's really nice.
So it's kind of like if you had to make an analogy, it's more like Yahoo News than Google News, where Google News is purely an algorithm. But although I think they've introduced
Google News is just an aggregator.
Right, but Yahoo actually they will
Right. Exactly. It's not just a straight up
involved.
aggregator that's just going to pull everything that says Obama and Syria in it and just give you everything. They've got a staff that obviously goes through these things and picks out the best stories or the ones that are most reliable to the topic that you're following.
How would you compare this to like Pulse and Current and Flipboard if you're looking at news on Flipboard?
I would say it's more closely related to Flipboard. It's just kind of, to me, it was a cleaner way, faster way too, but it was a cleaner way to read the news.
And I like the way, like, here I'm putting up on the screen, you guys can't see it, but right when the news came out, jury finds concert promoter not liable in Michael Jackson wrongful death case. If you look at that, then you can select that I want to follow this story. And then as they add more updates, then that'll flow into your stream with this app. Instead of Flipboard, which basically goes by what is popular and what is popular among people that you engage with or follow, etc. So it's different, but so it'll be fun to try it. So if you're interested in news, you know, and maybe they have sports, I'm not sure, but any kind of like stuff like this, then check it out. It's the Circa app, and it's my recommended app of the week. So I guess Nate is next.
Mine's really easy, and I don't need to do anything special. Mine is just Chrome Beta for Android. I have a lot of people that ask me here and there when news stories come out about Chrome Beta. I can't find Chrome Beta in the Play Store, and it can be kind of difficult to find, honestly. You type in like Chrome Beta, and a lot of times it just doesn't pop up. So I just included it so everybody would have a link at the bottom if you want to download Chrome Beta. I use it pretty much exclusively on my Android device, and you just kind of get features before they go to stable. So pretty cool. Check it out, and now you have a link to it, so you don't have to go on the wild goose chase.
All right, and then final look at the comments before we close here. Andrew says, Mighty Text also allows you to view photos and videos from your phone onto your tablet and browser. Soup in Pepper, jumping to politics, who do you think is to blame for the government shutdown? Washington, D.C. is to blame. Dan, you swore on a live YouTube stream. Google will be canceling your account. Actually, they won't, because it wasn't copyright infringement, because no one's trademarked my naughty word.
And furthermore, Andrew, if you think that's bad, you need to listen to us Friday night, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. It's probably like right after midnight your time, but tune in to us anyway, because, man, do we curse up a storm there.
What's even worse is we do it right in front of Bruce, who's a man of the cloth. Do you have your collar handy, Bruce? Or I guess you're traveling over in Florida.
No, I don't travel with my collar.
He's his girlfriend's just off camera. I'm just going to get him in trouble. Hey, folks, please check out our other program. It's called Google Plus Week, and it airs at around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'm not sure what that is GMT, but that's on Friday nights at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. Time. And then this program, our Android Week, is every single Monday at 9 p.m.
You had to think about that, didn't you?
Indeed. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which would be 6 p.m. Pacific. Pam would remind me, not 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Pacific, for our Android Week, where we discuss all things Android. So we want to thank our panel so much for participating. Thank you for watching and being part of the program. And we do appreciate it very much. And until next time, I want to wish all of you a wonderful Android Week. Six p.m. Pacific, for our Android Week, where we discuss all things Android. So we want to thank our panel so much for participating. Thank you for watching and being part of the program. And we do appreciate it very much. And until next time, I want to wish all of you a wonderful Android Week.